Sometimes when I start a new gameplay in games like Inzoi, I never know where to live. I always start in a below par home or an out of budget home, not knowing all my other options. In this video, we're going to look at each residential lot in the world of Bliss Bay, whether it's an empty lot ready to build, an apartment, or a nice little home in the suburbs. Also note that this includes homes that are already occupied, because what's a great gameplay if it doesn't include kicking someone out? Now, a quick overview of Bliss Bay. This is a world that's very west coast of America vibes, lots of palm trees, nice hot weather, and tons of outdoor activity. So taking a quick first look at the map, it is kind of busy. Let's take a look at all of the empty lots first. So there are 3 that you can go ahead straight in and build or upload from Canvas. So let's go in first and move on, and you can see which location we're at the top right, no, top left. And from there we can see what each one looks like. So now you can see this is a very beachy vibe. It kind of reminds me of Miami or maybe like a Southern California. So in these presets, you can see some budget homes that you can start off with. Now, will it match the vibe? No, but you can kind of play around with it and paint over it, get a little bit of a feel for matching the neighborhood. If I don't know if this neighborhood is an HOA neighborhood. However, I know that they wouldn't like it if you had this white, stark little house, compared to everything else with this nice, cool tone orange. So in these different presets, you can see it kind of elevate each time. So if you really like the location, but you don't want a starter home, you want something like this with its own outhouse in the back for a gym, or you want like a big 3 long car driveway, you can kind of build that in. Personally, I'll go ahead and just ask that you change the roof. Now, one other thing that I will go ahead and mention is that you can use these presets at free will, or you can also go to the canvas, which is a gallery of creations that other people have made. Personally, I'm not a builder. I've been bad at it forever, for every game that I've built. So I love these kind of homes where everything's kind of there and I can add and build into it as I'm playing the game. Maybe my Zoe has new hobbies, or they're expanding the family. Maybe I decide that I want more plants. I did notice in a lot of the game, I wasn't a big fan of the window placements, and at least I can use this as a starter to kind of go in and add more windows or curtains and kind of liven up the place. But I think this game has such an incredible preset as is. There was a lot of things I was looking through and I didn't need to change or want to change. Now, one other thing you'll notice as we go through this video is a lot of the presets are the same for any kind of plot, with a bit of a twist. So not all properties are in this kind of shape, whether it's an empty lot or a current home that's already built in, but the preset will kind of match the parameters that you're given and start from there. There's also kind of the same themes. So you'll have, like, for example, a country home, but then maybe one will be a 1-story, another one will be 2 stories, maybe the one will be more narrow or one would be more wide. So you can kind of play around with each. This one was not one of my favorites in terms of the outside, but the inside felt very cozy and warmly. I was a huge fan of the use of wood and space in each. There were some rooms that did not make sense to me. However, again, it's giving you a playground that you can kind of go in and play around with. So this is my Zoe. I don't know if I even introduced you to her. Her name is Zoe. She's going to be your tour guide in a couple of these videos. Today we're just going to focus on the residential lots, but hopefully in the next one we're going to look at the public properties and business lots that we can go to, and then hopefully in upcoming videos discover new worlds together. She will be your tour guide, Zoe. Now let's head on over our next empty lot. Now, spoiler alert, all these empty lots are going to kind of look the same, or at least these first 2. The third one, not so much. But this is 3150 Greenway. This one's a perfect one if you're trying to raise a family, because you see that building over there on the very end? That is the Bliss Bay Public School. This is a great location if you want to be close to the school, if you want to be it's a little bit further from the beach area, but it is really good with the suburban vibe that is going on. The presets here are similar to the ones that we saw before in the other empty lot. Gorgeous, and they kind of do fit a little bit more of that modern vibe here. And yeah, as always, you can always choose something from the canvas or build your own. You know, if you're really good at that part, build your own. Okay, so the last empty lot that we're going to be looking at is 8 Beachfront Drive. This one is located right on the beach with access straight into the beach and the sea. You have these beautiful long scopes of land right into the sea and mountains at the very, very back. You have these air balloons just floating around, everyone having a good time. If you want access straight to the beach, you know, maybe your Zoe is a surfer, or maybe this family just grew up on the beach, or maybe even you made it rich and you want a beach home, this would be the perfect place to set up. And this is an empty lot, so you can build straight from the ground up yourself. Maybe you can look into the canvas for other people's creations, but either way, this would be a beautiful place to just start with, especially to fit into that Bliss Bay vibe. Now, there are the 2 budget homes and classic homes that we've seen, which don't fit the vibe. This would be kind of funny to have like a little trap house maybe. There are 3 specially made houses for this location, and they are gorgeous. They fit that beautiful outdoor aesthetic. They're modern. They kind of fit in with the rest of the houses in the neighborhood. They're very chic. You know, I can see a family who maybe they're celebrities. I can see maybe a Zoe who went through the Adams Entertainment program and now they're a successful K-pop star, and they moved their family here so that they can enjoy the luxury lifestyle. When I first started off with this game, I did do a gameplay where I moved my Zoe here all by herself, and I realized how big it was. And that's where I was kind of like, okay, maybe I don't need one person to live here all by themselves. This would be a great place for maybe kind of like a Bop House situation. Maybe a bunch of content creators come together. I really want to do a gameplay of that, or even just like a big family who has money. You know, a lot of presets sometimes that we've seen in other games are lower budget or it's not as expensive. So this coming with its own amount of fun things off the bat was great. This home in particular was so gorgeous. You know, the very rooftop vibe that you have. Granted, you don't have a lot of access in the back. It's good to utilize the space at the top of the house to kind of have that little garden that you want, or a sun tanning bed. I think out of all of the empty lots, this one was my favorite, and I might have to move in. Next, we're going to look at the different apartments. There's 4 of them, and they're already pre-furnished, so we're going to take a look at them and rate them. So the first one is this one, the City Nest Apartments. This is perfect for if you want something a little bit budget, if you want to be close to the beach. It has a beautiful lobby, and right off the bat, the interior was gorgeous. I did play, I think, in this one with one of my K-pop Zoys that I started off with, and it was just so beautiful and furnished. Now here's the overview. You have 2 bedrooms, a gorgeous living room, and a beautiful kitchen space. This one didn't have any presets off the bat. You know, that makes sense given that it's a apartment block building. However, there are room presets. The second one we're going to look at is the Heaven Hill Apartments. Now, unfortunately, there is a family, the Yoon family. I did feel really bad kicking them out, but once I took a look at this one, it wasn't that great. Already, there was a broken computer. It looks like a prison in here. You know, everything's dusty. There was a gorgeous view, but I don't know what was going on. There's a shopping cart of blankets. The kitchen was looking a little lived in. So first of all, if you wanted to do a rags to riches kind of thing, that would be a great budget apartment to start off with. But this one did have a preset where it was a simple 3-room apartment that was a little bit more renovated, you could say. So if you wanted to play this one, but you know, keep it fresh, keep it clean, you could do that. If you wanted to kind of start off with a more cleaner vibe, that would be a good one. The third one is the Ocean Bliss Apartments. This one is a high-rise apartment, very gorgeous. I did have to kick out the Murphy family, and the Murphy family did have a kid, so I'm super sorry, but you can see that they have a kid's room, an adult room. There's some kid toys already there. This would be a good one if you wanted to kind of get a jump start on your gameplay with an established family. They did have a preset for a more cleaner blue apartment. The thing that caught me off guard with this one is that it is one bedroom. There's a bigger kitchen and a bigger living room. However, they did have kids' toys, so I don't know where the kid would sleep. So I guess you could add that in, or you can just clean it up and make yourself a really nice high-rise apartment for 1 or 2 Zois. Now, this last one absolutely took my breath away. I was so shocked. This is the Lumineer Apartments. It gives you this like 70s brown leather vintage vibe. There's gorgeous paintings. There's this beautiful kids room in here. This one would be great for a more established family. You know, not all luxury rich people want to live in a house. Some want to go straight to an apartment, condo. And this massive mega apartment was just calling my name. I really want to come back and play this. There's 2 elevators straight to this house, a gorgeous private lobby, and everything about this at night, the way everything illuminated, the big glass windows, it was just so beautiful, and I really want to come back to this one. This one didn't have any other presets, but honestly, why would you need it? So yeah, let me know if you guys play with that one because I think that might be my next gameplay. Now, I'm definitely going to come back to this one, but let's keep on going down the list. We're done with all of the apartments. So now we're going to look at all of these suburban residential homes. There are 7 at the moment, and they're kind of scattered all over, and majority of these are already occupied, but you know, just for the sake of the game, we're going to just check and see what they kind of look like in case, you know, maybe I do want to move someone up. So this first one is 6117 Sunshine Avenue. This is an unoccupied home for sale. You can see that there are 5 presets already available. Majority of these we've kind of looked at it in different capacities. You know, we have the budget and the classic home, but this one is located really nicely in the suburban residential home. It's really good for just like a smaller town vibe, a smaller home. You know, this home would be perfect for maybe a starter family, just very small family that are just kind of getting their leg up in the world. This would be great for someone who plays a family style gameplay. You have all these great neighbors around you, and you can use this space for a kind of tiny home. Maybe you have a tiny home with a big garden, or maybe you just need to utilize as much space as possible. Now, I did try to see if I could change the color of the roof to match the neighbors, which I did successfully. However, I did also realize that I accidentally colored the gable, whatever that is. Really exciting that you can kind of go in and change the colors and textures of all of these presets, and even things that you build yourself. You know, you can make something go from wood to a tile, or even kind of give something a leather feel, changing the colors. It's completely customizable, and it makes the presets feel like your own. I was really excited by even just something as simple as wallpaper options. This next house is 5151 Sunshine Avenue. This is actually on the opposite side of the same neighborhood as the one we just looked in, so it does have that same familiar vibe. This one, however, does have a little bit room in the backyard. Whoever lives behind us gave me great ideas to even do some tile rearrangement. You can see Zoe going in playing with the basketball or with the baseball. Another thing I really loved about this home is it's not a standard rectangular or square home. I love the use of angled walls, and it kind of encourages that kind of building style. You know, now I want to make a whole house that has angled, I want to say rounded, but it's not rounded, corners, for example. So I came in here, Zoe decided to get a snack in the kitchen, and I took a look at all the other different presets that there are. And it is kind of like that very lovely suburban family style. I also really would like to come in and build a mega garden because of all the space that this one allows you to utilize. And I know that in Inzoi there is some traits and compatible lifestyles for that gardening aspect, so that would be really fun. So let me know if you decide to go that direction. Now, this next property blew me away. This is 19 Beachfront Avenue. This is in the same vein as the 8 Beachfront Avenue that we looked at earlier, empty lot, but this one is a furnished lot. first, this just looked like a very expensive, luxurious high rise. Think of it as a sad celebrity who just has way too much money. However, when I got to the bottom floor, I was blown away by this pink magic that we have going on. You have kind of a pink bedroom and then a pink gaming room and then this massive dance room. I was so shocked and surprised because it kind of gave me like a nightclub vibe. However, I know that we don't currently have a nightclub or kind of like a night lounge in game at the moment. I would love to play in this house and invite friends over all the time to come just play and dance and vibe out in my interior disco ball. As you can see also, as the days were going on, some of these houses were looking dusty. So I did clean up a little bit, but then I was like, let's immediately go down to the dance room as a way to say thank you for letting us into your home and using all of your fine furniture and dance room. Look at this, the ceiling is the lights. You know, you can come in here, hang out, get a drink at the bar, dance the whole night away. This is such a cool idea, and I would love to see this incorporated not only just in this house, but as a venue itself. This house would be perfect for a content creation house. I actually might do a gameplay where I build a whole group of people and make this house the content creation house. Make sure that they all can pay rent and make sure they're making enough money to pay for this lifestyle. But, you know, lounging by the beach, dancing the night away in the disco bar, waking up at noon to make music videos. Who knows? You know, so that one is a very amazing place if you have the money. By the way, I forgot to mention that that house used to be the Abbott family's house, so I'm so sorry to evict you. But now these next couple homes are much more grand in the suburban section of homes. This is 420 Kingsbury Court. This one was lived in by the Collins family, so we evicted them. I'm so sorry. But this house was very interesting as it's a very open floor plan kind of house. You saw that there's so many toys around and so many old furniture that looked used. This would be a great way to play a family who's probably lived here for a long time, or a 100 Babies Legacy game. You know, you have all the space to see all the children. This other preset was gorgeous as it did not fit in with the neighborhood, I don't think, but it gave massive grandeur to the front of the house. What I loved the most about this house was that there was a huge grand courtyard in front of the house, and even coming up to the top floor, there was a huge second deck, I would call it. Inside the home, we also did find a movie theater that was super beautiful. I love that we can start building movie theater homes in this game. I also really like that it looks very conspicuous. I could see someone who is a spy or someone who maybe doesn't want to get caught, and that's why there's so much barricade around the house. But you know, it's a lovely little family inside. This next home is 1011 Willow Tree. I did have to evict the Williams family, and I think someone didn't actually leave. But this home is a massive family home. Think generational family where you have grandma, grandpa, you have some kids, maybe you have multiple siblings, and maybe some are trying to move out. There's not enough room for everyone. That's the kind of gameplay I can see in this house. And there was this room that did kind of strike me as odd. It looked like kind of like a grocery store pantry with boxes of fruit, and I couldn't figure out what it would be for until maybe I realized it's a panic room. You know, you get some steam out and walk out zen. Maybe. But all in all, this is a very big, massive space that you can utilize. And given the presets that we've played around with before, it still fits this plot. It is a bit more narrow, so you're looking at houses that are a little bit more long than wide. However, it would be perfect to kind of house multiple generations of a family here and kind of see everyone grow up and maybe unfortunately pass away. I love the use of this little back outhouse. You can use this as a guest room, you can use this as a gym, maybe an office. I really love that it wasn't just a blank plot of land. There was also this one, which I think maybe was kind of a mistake because it had some sort of pillars on the side of the house, but then I figured maybe it would be a driveway, it's just missing the gravel. This one was very clean and very modern, and it does take up the entire length of the house. So you can do with that whatever you think would be best. Speaking of luxury, this next house is 510 Palm Tree Avenue. The Hughes family lives here, so thank you so much for letting us evict you for a moment. This house is gorgeous. Have you guys seen that movie Parasite? One of the things that always struck me was how big of a fence they had, I think in their front yard or backyard. And this home just gives me that vibe where there's so much privacy, but so much front yard space and backyard space. You honestly could do so much in both areas. So this house is very modern, but it is a family style home. Big windows, all of the lights are just coming in, streaming in. There's a gym in the house. There's a double kitchen in the house that was really beautiful. All of the furniture is very modern and it just allows all of the light to come in. This is the kind of house where if you lived in it for real, you would have to wear sunscreen 24/7. Now, when I first clicked on my Zoe because she was very hungry, I sent it to the kitchen and I noticed there was like a double kitchen. And if you've seen those really fancy houses that have a kitchen for show versus a kitchen where the mess really does happen, it was kind of like that. And I really liked it. Now, I looked at the other presets, and this might be one of my favorite collections of presets for this home. This is what I meant where there are certain homes that have the same vibe but different. So this is that Mediterranean home. However, you can see here it's a double story. There's a big courtyard in the middle of the house to the side, big massive rooms. This is the perfect home for me in real life, but also a family who has that multi-generational aspect to them. This one also had pillars in the house, which was just gorgeous. This next one is a little bit more modern, something you would see maybe in LA. It has a huge, massive deck outside. It's covered by those big fences, allow for sunbathing, but the interior of the home is pretty gray, very neutral colors, which, you can go in and I personally would go give it a pop of color, but it's very spacious and very beautiful as well. The vibe of this property definitely gives big open windows, a lot of sunshine, a lot of land, and a more upscale neighborhood. This last preset was very wood vibes. I really, really liked it, and I was very interested in the fact that it did have its own kind of outhouse, you can call it. However, it was very open, and you can see here that there is this dining experience, kind of like an outdoor dining room, which I've never seen before, and that's so cool. By the way, you've probably noticed I've been bajillion houses at this point, and the way you can afford this and the money cheat is the bottom, if you see them right, that little hand icon, it opens up the help desk situation, and you can click on, I think, one of the ones from the bottom where there's like exit and stuff. There is a money cheat option. So, quick tip for you right there. That's how you can, just level up in the world without doing too much. Guys, we've come to our final home of this journey. This is the 203 Somerset Place. This is an unoccupied home, so we didn't have to evict anyone. This one is a space, but this also focuses heavily on the outdoor campfire. Think of this as a more woody, foresty area. You can have a little campfire back here, roast some s'mores, and it's just such a great place to kind of just relax a little bit more in. This home is very wood-toned, leather, very black appliances. It gives that very chic CEO vibe. There's also really nice lounging in the back, and I love honestly walking through this home and just kind of enjoying the crisp night air. So yeah, kind of come to the end of our video. I hope that you enjoyed this tour through all of the different residential lots. I hope you join me when I do my business and public lots where we go explore the different beaches and the different shops and cafes that we can go into just in Bliss Bay. Let me know which one you think you would go into. Do you have a place in mind? Do you have a house that you already see that you like, that you want to play in? Or do you think that you can build something from the ground up? Let me know, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.